Hello everyone. I'd like to read a chapter from a book I'm writing here in India, and it's entitled "Be Here Now," a phrase that those of us that are interested in spiritual life are very familiar with. So here we go. Be here now is a very popular spiritual slogan these days, originally popularized by the book Be Here Now, written by Ram Dass in the midst of the hippie movement and the first wave of the Enlightenment teachings of the East coming to the West in the early 70s. And more recently, the huge popularity of Eckhart Tolle's best-selling book, The Power of Now, has catapulted this spiritual notion or injunction into the mainstream. Many spiritual teachers and teachings speak about the importance of being, quote, in the present moment, or, quote, in the now, as a way to catalyze an awakening to the ever-present witness, or pure sense of I am. But there is often a limitation inherent in such an approach, in that the present moment often tends to be interpreted as a momentary slice of time occurring between the two vast expanses of the past and the future. Hence the, quote, present moment, or now, is seen as a moment of very short duration, moving along a line of time. As a result of this interpretation, spiritual seekers and meditators might often engage in an effortful manipulation of their experience to keep their attention focused on this fleeting slice of time. People who interpret being in the moment in this way might conclude, for example, that speaking about the past or making any concrete future plans is unenlightened behavior, or that not being able to remember where one put one's car keys automatically means that one was unconscious and lost in one's ego. Often seekers who do a lot of mindfulness techniques or vipassana meditation fall into this trap of trying to be in the present moment. However, true freedom can never be experienced through self-conscious techniques or manipulation of any kind, because the one who is trying to be aware is the self-referencing ego I that is engaged in the futile task of trying to go beyond itself. The contraction of consciousness that is the ego I is very persistent and insidious, and can take all kinds of subtle forms. It will attempt to co-opt our spiritual trajectory in devious ways so that it can maintain control, however subtly, and subvert the organic unfolding of the awakening process. That is why your pure-hearted and courageous surrender to this process is so essential. Then we will progressively develop the capacity to observe, understand, and transcend the ever more subtle survival strategies of the ego I that always wants to come along for the spiritual ride and attend its own funeral. Getting back to the spiritual injunction to be here now, it is actually a very profound teaching with radical implications if we are willing to take it all the way. Our usual experience is that we think that we perceive time and space outside ourselves, and that we are limited creatures that exist for a short time in the vast duration of time and occupy a very small part of a vast expanse of space. This perception, however, is just an illusion, because, like every other perception, we experience it only with ourself, our own mind. Though time and space appear to exist outside, we actually have no way of knowing that they do exist outside or independent of ourself. In fact, no human being, or any sentient being for that matter, has ever experienced a world of time and space outside of its own self-awareness. If we simply rest as the I am presence of our self-awareness and reflect upon the seeming reality of time, we will soon recognize that if we have a thought or an image about the past or the imagined future, that thought or image is always experienced now. In the intimacy of our own ever-present consciousness, which is prior to thought, we only know now. We never actually know the past or the future. While our experience of now can include memories and projections into the future, we never, in fact, leave the present moment. On closer inspection, we will realize that the idea that we ever could leave or lose touch with the present moment is absurd. Can we choose to step out of the now? Where would we go? Where could we go? Is this present moment going anywhere in time? Can this present moment travel backwards and forwards in time? No, because the present moment is not actually a moment in time. While all that passes by is constantly changing, the present moment itself always remains without undergoing any change. Hence, we could describe it as the static doorway through which we may pass from the illusion of ever-changing present time to the reality of our unchanging being. The present is the only moment in time that truly exists and that we experience directly and actually. Therefore, what is often called the present moment is ever present. Even to speak then of the present moment is potentially misleading, because time is actually a continuous flow that does not consist of discrete units called moments. What we call a moment is just a conceptual fraction of time, a fraction whose duration is arbitrary, depending on what we are referring to when we speak about the present moment. The very instant that the past ends, the future begins. Therefore, the borderline or interface between the past and the future is an infinitely fine point, a point that has no duration or extent. All that exists between the past and the future is pure being that is unmoving, changeless, and timeless. So what in our experience is ever present and unchanging? Are the body, the mind, the personality, and the world ever present and unchanging? In dream, we take on a dream body in a dream world that appears as real as the body and world we experience in the waking state. When we dissolve into deep sleep, all bodies and worlds disappear. And yet, even though we appear to be unconscious in deep sleep, we wake up in the morning and feel that I slept well. Or if we did not experience sufficient deep sleep, we feel that I didn't sleep well. Only consciousness itself that transcends and includes the three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep is ever present. Therefore, while we appear to be an individual body-mind arising within the world of the waking state, the deeper truth is that our individual body-mind and the apparently outside world are appearing within us. We are not present in the now, we are the now. the now is not a pre-existing container in which we and the world appear. The now is the light of consciousness, that static doorway in which the entire field of experience appears in a seamless, continuous flow. Thus, the more that we root ourselves in the injunction to be here now and abide in and as the timeless I Am presence, the more the present moment reveals itself to be all-pervading and encompassing of all time and space. Just as the present moment now is the central point in the conceptual dimension of time, so the present place here is the central point in the conceptual dimension of space. Every point in space that we perceive or think of exists only with reference to the present place, the point in space at which we now feel ourselves to be. Because we identify ourselves with a body, we feel that we move about in space. But in fact, space moves about within us. Wherever we appear to go, the present space of here is always with us. When we seem to move from one place to another, the other place becomes here. Thus, just as the present moment now is the static and unchanging moment through which all the moments of time pass, so the present place here is the static and unchanging place through which we may pass from the illusion of being a body that moves about in space to the reality of our unmoving being. If we take what is revealed in the simple injunction to be here now to its radical conclusion in our own direct experience, we will discover that the idea that the present moment is a point in time is an illusion. Just as our experience that the present place is a point in space is also an illusion. Since all points in time and space are experienced only in this present time and this present point in space, they are dependent for their existence on the present now and here, which in reality is nothing more than the I Am presence of our being. Therefore, our essential being, I Am, is the sole reality of not only this present moment and place, but also of the entire appearance of time and space.